Welcome. So today we're going to be going over an action to bring out eyes. Now, some people are going to like a lot of this effect, and some of people are going to like just a little bit of an effect. So, really keep that in mind when you're doing this. I'm just going to kind of generally do it. I'm going to show you how to adjust it, and I'm going to show you how to make variations of the intensity or the effect on the eyes. All right. Also, this is a totally raw file. I've not toned it or done anything to it. I just want you to see how it affects the eyes. People with brown eyes and green eyes are going to be done differently. I will show you how to add an extra step for green or light eyes to make them even more dimensional. So hold on, and here we go. Oh, and so the good thing is I'm going to actually make an action of this. So this is something I do a lot. I don't want to go through all these steps, so I'll make an action of it so I can just click on it. Now in action, you still have to go into it and adjust it because not every image is exactly the same, but it does create all the steps and make it a lot easier. So even if you buy actions, just because you buy an action doesn't mean that it works perfectly. You still have to understand how actions work and layers work to go inside and affect them. So first thing we're going to do here, we'll just do this a simple way. We'll turn this as button mode off. We'll go to new action. We're going to call this high frequency eyes. All right. Default actions color, we'll make it blue since eyes are blue, and we're going to hit record. So from now on, everything that I do, it's going to record. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on my background image, and I'm going to hit Command J twice to duplicate the layer twice. So this top one, I'm going to call this eye detail, and the bottom one, I'm going to call this blur. So I'm going to turn this layer off just so you can see how I do this. So you're going to go up here to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. You want to just basically slightly blur this image. Oop, and for some reason I didn't turn this layer off. So let's do this again. Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. So you just want to slightly blur that so you lose the detail. It depends on the image. This image is not this tight. If this image was shot this tight, I'd be blurring it probably about 5 pixels. All right, so we are going to blur that image. Then we're going to click back on eye detail and make sure that layer is selected. And we're going to go up to Image, Apply Image. And this is the frequency separation part. So normally this would be on merged. You want to make this blur, which is this blur layer. And you want to do this, and this is for 16-bit. You want to change this to subtract. It would normally be at multiply. And your scale is 2, and your offset is 128. You should get this funky gray look. All right. We're going to change the blending mode to linear light. And we're going to turn off that blur layer. Excuse me. So you can see it really intensified that dynamic range of that sharpness of that image. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do in above eye detail is I'm going to actually make an adjustment layer. So I'm going to take the curves and I'm going to really pop in. Now I'm just looking at the eyes when I do this. All right, and that's probably brighter than we need, but we can go back in and change this. So now we have basically this stuff done to the eye. Now there's one more layer you can do. You can create a new layer between this, and we'll zoom in. I'll show you how this works. So you actually want to, let me switch this here. Come on. To photography. I don't actually have the tool up. So we want this dodge and burn tool here. So we actually want to burn, and we're gonna make this much smaller. So I want that be, I'm gonna actually turn this off here for a second. I'm turning my green thing off so we can see it. All right. So we want this brush about the same width of the black part of the eye. All right, and notice range is in shadows. That's good. We increase this. We'll try 15%. Now we want to come up here, and all we're doing is just going over that dark part of the eye, and I'm making it darker. And then we're going to go over the pupil, and then we're going to go over the dark part of the eye, then over to the pupil. So you're making the pupil darker in the outside of the eye, and that's creating more dimension within the eye. Now, she doesn't really need this. Her eyes, and that part's pretty dark. But you'll really see an effect on really light eyes where you kind of just slightly darken that. So we will zoom back out here. Let me bring this over so you can see. For some reason, we lost that layer. All right. Let me go back to what I use. Alright, let's move everything around. Alright, so you can see here's that layer. I'll turn that layer on and off. And that's just basically doing a little bit to that eye. Alright, I'm going to actually turn this off. So when you get this action, if you want to just turn that on and add that adjustment to it, you can. Alright. So the last thing we're going to do is select all these layers. So I will move this up so you can see it a little bit. Oops, let's just close this so we can see it better. So I'm going to go up to the curves level and go all the way down to the blur level. I'm going to hold down shift and select all those. I'm going to hit Command G to group them. And I kind of messed everything up by bringing that over. So we're going to stop this action. All right, so there's a stop right here. So we're going to stop that action, and then we'll go into button mode. And we're going to take this and dump it. So we'll test the action just to make sure it works. So this is one thing I'll usually do. So we got high frequency eyes right here, and you'll click that, and all right. So there we go. So there's that action. All right. The last thing, and when I create the action, I'll create this for you. I would just create all the layers. You're going to hold down Alt Option and hit the mask icon, and you want an inverted mask black. So the last part that you will do is you will come in here with your brush and add some white, and you can see you can paint in those eyes and really bring those out. So I'll toggle this on and off so you can see how that brings out the eyes. Now that's probably too much money on or too much on her. So if we turn this off and then turn it on, we can see that's way too much. So one way you can control this is obviously you can go in here and you can go to that curves level and turn that on and off, right? So that is the brightening part of the effect. You can also select the layer and decrease the opacity, which is going to decrease how much that eye gets brightened. Or you could just do that to the whole group, so you can just lower it and maybe do some there, and then if I want to come to the curves level and I want to lower that some, and then we're better. So I'll zoom in back. So now with those adjustments and changing that opacity, we've lightened it up, but not so bright that it looks like, you know, she's going to be shooting some sort of a laser beam out of her eye. So hopefully that is helpful. You find the action worthwhile. So if you have any comments or questions below, you can put those in the comment section. And if you want to subscribe, that would be great. Thank you very much for watching.